everybody, and welcome to WCTV Sports. I'm Paul Geigle, and the name of the show is Off the Court. And today is a special show because we're near the end of the regular season. But it hasn't ended yet because we got a big game in North Quincy tonight, which we're going to talk about in a little while. But first, I'd like to introduce our special guest, of course, as always, Coach Brogioli, head coach of the varsity basketball team, and his assistant, his right-handed man who runs the JV program, Steve Faniel. Both of you guys, thanks for coming in again.
You're welcome.
This is one of the shows I look forward to doing every year. First up, guys, congratulations. 8 South Coast Championship League wins in a row. Amazing. And you were guaranteed a co-championship going into that last game, the make-up Sunday.
If we won.
If you won, right. But you had at least,
Right.
that, and won that one. So you ended up 15-4 overall, 14-2 in the South Coast Conference. And then a big surprise at the end. Not a big surprise, but a nice little gift. Case wins the big game against Orr at Case in their makeup game. So you guys got the championship again.
Yeah, Case did us a favor by beating ORR, and so we won it outright, and I'd rather win it outright than share it with anyone.
Yeah, I know we had Mason up for a couple of minutes up in the crow's nest, and he was quite excited. I know he took over the captainship this year, and he's had a, kind of a difficult transition, hasn't it been for him, kind of. I know he's gifted, but he's taken over as a point guard from normally his normal position is a 2 guard, right? Steve, you had him playing for you for a little bit, right?
Yeah. His natural position was the 2 guard because we had Darian. That's kind of where he always had to play.
I know.
But I just want to, the seniors, there's no real star of the group. They're all just a group effort.
Yeah.
And they do a nice job for us. I'm happy for them seniors. They got that conference championship.
And the way it was going earlier, I mean, you lost 2 in a row for the first time in a while. Had to be some concern. There was a little, I don't know, they're out of sync, or they just weren't getting the game plan as well as as fast as you hoped.
Well, I mean, I think that the 2 losses, one came to North Quincy, who's a quality team, top in Division One, and Case beat us at Case. So it just happened that they were scheduled back to back. I don't think we did all that many things different since then.
No.
We are hitting our stride. The kids are running their offense more effectively, and we're looking to run more than we were at that point of the season. So that could be a difference as well.
So you definitely felt that you should as you're looking back, you felt like you guys should have been running a lot more earlier.
Well, we always want to run even more than we do. We want to run more, and we're more effective when we push the ball up the court. And sometimes teams are able to slow us down, and that's when the games get a little ugly.
Right, and you had to play that game against Spelman early, and that's a tough team to face in the early part of your schedule, isn't it?
It is, but they had a tough team to face too. And
yes, they did. Yeah.
So, but it's a good test, and we do that specifically for the tournament.
Right, and that was a great game to showcase for the start of your Winter Classic, or what are you going to call it, the Christmas Classic, or whatever. We've got to have a name for
we'll come up with a name for next year.
Got to come up with a name for next year. Just a little bit about those games we played the last week that were very important. Let's go back to the one on the road against Bourne, which was they're not in the top echelon, I think, of the other South Coast Conference teams. However, they got 3 or 4 talented players on that team. Getting back to my point about Mason, Coach Faniel, Mason stepped up and did something I noticed. I don't know if I'm sure you guys noticed too. Barreto and I don't know who the other player underneath the basket were going at it pretty good, because it's a very physical contest when you guys get together with Bourne. Last year down there, it was the same kind of a game. The Smith brothers play very aggressive. Mason stepped in and kind of took control of Cy before he lost it, I think. I think Cy had very close to getting a technical there. And I thought that was very showing of Mason's ability as a leader to just right on the spot step in before that happened. And
he's been a great leader and a great captain for us all year long. That's part of what makes him such a good player, is that he has complete control over the team.
Right.
He got a pulse on the team. He knows what they need, and he gives it to them. He gives them the leadership they need. So that's a pleasant surprise for us, and we're excited about it.
Yeah, Mason's been one of my most effective captains. He's vocal, but he also leads by example. He's in great shape, and he works harder than anyone in practice.
And in the classroom.
And the big win before that, I think we had the home game against Case, 73-61. You guys had lost to them in a tough game at Case. What did you guys talk about in the before that Case game at home about what you wanted to do? You had Felipe Pyers, who was incredible talent that,
Right, we were worried about him. We know he's their best player, and he gave us a lot of trouble last time around. We tried to put some stuff in our offense to try to free Mason up a little bit more, but some other players stepped up. I think Mike Labonte's coming on now, and he really helped in that game as well. Chris Siasi had a career game that
15
game.
points, right?
And really started the
Hit
game
a couple
for
of
us.
3-pointers.
Yeah.
And also, did you put Matt Griggs on Pyers for a little while in the game?
We did.
I think that made a big difference too. Even though he scored, I think 22 or 24, I think he had to work for every basket he had.
He did, and we were able to slow the other players down. So.
And I think the last 3 minutes and where is it here? The last 3 minutes and 27 seconds, you guys shut that team out. I thought that was incredible. You caused 22 turnovers against Case. They turned the ball over 22 times total to only, I think, 7 in the fourth quarter you got them for. And I think the good thing for you guys only turned the ball over 1 time. That was incredible. And your free throw shooting in that game, amazing. I think you guys were 9 for 9 in the last quarter. And I think you mentioned Mike Labonte. He had 4 big free throws. The first time he stepped to the line, it was 1-1, and the first one was a big free throw, and he hit it. I mean, Mason hit 2 before that, free throws. Cy Barreto hit 2. So making all the free throws in a
Close games always come down to free throws and layups, and I was happy that we were able to. They had 5 consecutive turnovers in that last quarter.
Yeah,
and that was the ball game, really.
Yeah, was that the game where you created 2 5-second violations in a row too? Was that the game, or was that the game in New Bedford that happened? I thought that was pretty good too.
Yeah, I believe that was the case.
Yeah. So a big win in Case. I mean, that was a big win to get that out of the way. And then Sunday, New Bedford, good coach. They got some good players. They had Big Nick Portalance to go against too.
Yeah, Vogue's a good team. They've been playing well. They had won 5 or 6 in a row previous to that game. And Portalance is a quality big man, especially in this league, and he's tough to stop.
Okay, before we talk about what you did against Portalance, but the game against Case, I think Coach Plant mentioned that you guys went to a 2-3.
We did towards the end of the game.
What were you doing earlier? Were you doing a man-to-man mostly?
Mostly man.
Yep.
We haven't really showed any 2-3 zone this year.
So that bothered, that kind of like lost them a little.
Apparently it did.
Yeah.
I didn't really necessarily put it in to try to confuse them, but it had that added benefit.
No, at the halftime, did you guys talk about doing that possibly?
I think we had some fouls.
A little?
Yeah.
About going to 2 and 3?
Because we were a little foul trouble and we wanted to protect some guys in a zone maybe, and that might be the easiest way to do that.
Right. And now getting back to the Greater New Bedford game, we had the big guy, Portalance, who's he's always in the high teens or 20s. The first time you guys played him, you did a 1-3-1, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. What was your plan going into that game Sunday?
Plan going in was to mix up defenses, to go man-to-man, maybe on a make, and on a miss, go back to a 1-3-1 zone. But we ended up just going straight man for most of that game, and just playing him straight man. He still hurt us, but the other guys didn't.
When a kid just gives him those points. But both games, you guys did a great job on their one of their guards. What's his name? Martins, right? Did a great job on him. Shut him out again. No, he didn't shut him out. He only had 3 free throws. But in the first game, I don't think he had a field goal at all.
Mason and Matt Griggs had that duty.
And their other big guy, Jakeem Gonzalez, who's been hot 5 games in a row. You kind of held him to, I think, 8 points, I think. So
once again, if Mason and Matt Griggs had the task of switching off on those 2 most of the game, and they're our best defenders.
Now the big news came at the end of the that win against Greater New Bedford Vogue from Case. Now, two bad things happened to Orr. They lost the South Coast Championship, but also they lost Paul Graves to a technical foul. He got pushed from behind by the Horwitz. I just read about it today. I didn't know he's out for their first game.
Correct. He has to sit by
That's
NIA rules.
Hurt. I mean, even though they got the home game, they got the first home game. Possibly looks like they are.
Yeah, they will.
They still their senior forward is not going to be playing in that game. That's got to hurt them.
It's not going to help them. Hopefully their size, if they can play a team that doesn't have a lot of size, I think they can get through that, though. But if they don't, it's going to be tough.
It's good that they have the game at home, but still somebody's got to step up, and it looks like it's going to be, their sixth man is Hayden Bergeron, right? Looks like he's going to have to be a starter, right?
Most likely, I assume that's who they'd go with.
He's going to have to start the game, so that's going to help him a little. And
It'll help him on the
guys going to have
boards.
to play a little more.
They'll be okay. They'll be okay.
They'll be okay in the first game. We're going to talk a little bit about the brackets in a little while, but first I'd like to ask Coach Faniel a little bit about his team this year. Coach, you had another incredible season with your JVs. I think they only lost one game, am I right? 15 to 16 wins. Yep. Beat North Quincy earlier. Yep. Impressive. Okay, I just want to go over, you got some talented kids there. At your guard, you've started a freshman, Ashante Tavares. Only 5'0".
Yeah.
But on the varsity roster sheet, he grew 4 inches. You got him listed as 5'4". So I thought that was kind of funny. From 5'0" to 5'4", he grows 4 inches in one season. Your other guard who's been playing a lot, Brandon Fry. I'm kind of impressed with him. He's improved too, hasn't he, Brandon?
Yep, he took a year off last year, so.
Oh, he did.
I think that stunted his development a little bit. But as you can see, as the season's gone along, he's got his feet underneath him. He's in better shape now. And
he seems to take care of the ball very well. And I think Ashante's one of the things he has to work on. But he's so small that when he gets matched up, there's always somebody more physical than him or a little taller. So they can, if they get a little physical, they get away with.
I mean, he's really small. He's a tough kid, though. He's one of the toughest kids, pound for pound, that we have, and he works really hard at it. And I'm happy with his progress over the season. Yeah,
and you must be pretty confident in his ability to run the offense out there. I mean, freshman with some
by the end of the
juniors
year,
and sophomores out there.
He was identifying defenses himself and being able to call some plays for us, and being a real floor leader out there and take care of the basketball. And that's what we need. He knocks down shots when he's open. Right,
and then the other two guards. Alex Resendez and Marquis Silver, kind of talented kids.
Right. I mean, this JV team's a little different than the teams in the past because they kind of developed roles themselves throughout the year.
Right.
Whereas before, I'd have 12 basketball players, and there'd be no kind of roles. There'd be a lot of balance going on. But this team has scorers and has defenders, and Alex and Marquis are kind of like the defenders of the team.
So who do you right now? Who do you lean towards more when Ashante's out? We already talked about. Brandon Fry's going to run the offense, right?
A little bit.
Do you trust any of those two guys to run the offense for you?
Yeah, either one of those guys can do that. And then, the ball can go through Xavier or Jovan at any time, too. So there's a lot of kids that can handle the ball on that team.
Right. So Zave Fogy, I think, has showed incredible improvement from, right? Let's talk about Zave's game right now.
Zave is aggressive. When he's aggressive and he really wants to dominate and take over the game, he kind of can. It's just like he shows flashes of it, but not consistency with it. And when he becomes more consistent and becomes more aggressive, he's going to do some good things for us next year.
And also, he looks. He has another strength of his is he can take care of the basketball a little too. When he has to bring it up, when they're double trapping or double teaming one of your guards, he can bring it up and get it into the zone.
He's a good ball handler, and he gets a lot of work at the press versus the varsity at practice. And he can defend, and he's a bigger guard, which is nice to have.
And the other kid I think is coming on a little too is Josh Ono.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not going to pronounce his name because I'll butcher the name anyway. So Mason told me to call him Josh Ono. So anyway, he's about as tall as Fogy is, right? He's not afraid to mix it up. He's very physical inside, isn't he?
Very physical, very physical. I think his passion is football, and I think that's why he is that physical. But he's running back in football, and he comes out and he mixes it up for us. And if he decides that he wants to do basketball and put some work in the offseason, I really think he can help us next year. So we're looking forward to see what he can do.
We can't forget Jay Sean Morgan, who's been, man, that kid, if anybody gives more than 110% or 120, it's Jay Sean, man. For his size, his physicality, what he brings to out on the floor physically, he can shoot. He looks like he's a good free throw shooter. Hits a three once in a while for you. So he's going to be a big plus for Coach.
Well, we're hoping so. There's nobody going to outwork him.
Yeah.
So him and Derek both, they bring a lot of energy. They bring a lot of leadership out there.
Right.
They control the board. They're physical. They run the floor. They do all the things that you'd want a junior to do to show those sophomores how to play.
And you mentioned Derek Guerrier, the big center, 6'4". Derek thin, but like to see a little more muscle on him. And what does Derek have to work on?
Well, yeah, he has to get in the weight room. He has to get a little bit bigger and a little bit stronger and a little bit more physical, but he gives you everything he got on every single play. He hustles.
And I've noticed, too, in the last, say, couple of weeks, like last half a dozen games, he's been busting his butt on defense. He's been getting some rebounds for you. Yep. I know he has a little trouble holding on to the ball. I mean, when he gets trapped, anybody would have trouble, but he can hold on to the ball a little more. But, yeah, I've been really impressed with Derek's game. Rebounding, some of his putbacks. He's, the finishing is going to come, I think, with a little more experience, right?
Yeah, he's gotten better as the season gone along, though, and that's just repetitions, and then he's just going to have to do it against bigger, stronger kids next year.
Right. Yeah, you always want that tall guy to improve and help you out next year when he comes into the varsity, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the other two guys, which I had fun watching this year because in a couple of games you were up so much that they came in. T.J. Barboza and who's the other guy? Nate Moore.
Nate Moore.
Yeah, they hit some 3-pointers in some of those games, and it was nice to see the varsity on the wings ready to come in for the warm-ups, cheering them on. I mean, it's nice to see the support there and the enthusiasm. TJ made a couple, 2 or 3 in a row in one game, and brought people off the benches, which was good. And Nate Moore out there getting a little playing time. That was nice to see. Is Nate a football player? Nate Moore?
Yep.
Okay, it shows. He's a physical player, isn't he?
Yeah.
And the other two guys, the two brothers. We got a talented kid here coming up, freshman. And I'm going to get both your takes on this kid, but Johnny Thomas is the sophomore, the older brother of Javon. Mm-hmm. Javon's a little taller. He's 6'1", and Johnny is 5'9", 5'10". So what do we forecast here for the upside of Javon? He looks like a very talented player. What does he got to work on right now?
Well, for us, I mean, when he has the ball, he's a varsity basketball player.
Right.
When he got the ball in his hands, he can do a lot of different things when he has the basketball. He can attack the basket. He's a decent ball handler, and he can shoot it. I mean,
we know he's a shooter, right?
Multiple games where he's hit over 5 3-pointers.
Right.
I mean, last game I think he played for us, he hit 8.5. So I mean, he can shoot the ball when he gets. He's a volume shooter, but. When he has the ball, everything's great. It's just when he doesn't have the ball, those are the things that we got to work on so he's ready for him.
Yeah, Coach, now he's played, I know he's been practicing with the varsity for a while. Now, in the varsity games, when he made his debut, that first game, I don't know, Seekonk or Fairhaven, he scored 7 points. I mean, the first 2 shots were 3-pointers, he hit it. But the other 2 games, I don't know whether it's, I don't want to say deer in the headlights kind of a thing, but you think it's kind of like he doesn't want to do too much now and make a mistake being out there with the varsity?
I think anytime you're a freshman playing varsity, you're going to have some ups and downs. But I think the last game against Case, which was a big game, he came in and hit 2 3-pointers in the second quarter for us.
Yes.
So what I like about him is that he's not afraid to take the shot. What he needs to work on, though, is fundamentals of the game. He's got to work on footwork. He's got to work on his defense. Mm-hmm. And I think if he does that, if he plays all summer and goes to a couple camps, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with down the road.
Now, when you guys talk about footwork, you talking about when he's posting up or just in general defense?
I'm talking in general on defense, but I mean, he needs to work on, everyone needs to work on their footwork and their fundamentals in the program.
Right.
But if he does, he's going to blossom even more. He'll accelerate at an even higher rate if he's able to do those things.
Yeah, we know he's going to grow, right? I mean, they blossom. Well, he blossomed. Well, the people who know him say he grew 3 inches from last year. Mm. And we know his granddad is a very famous athlete, Olympic high jumper, John Curtis Thomas. He was 6'5", okay, and his dad's tall. So you can suppose that he's going to grow. But now my question is, if a kid grows maybe 3 or 4 inches now, is that going to change his game at all, do you think?
It's going to make him harder to cover.
Hell of a guy to cover, right? Yeah. We know he's a slasher and he runs well. The thing that impressed me in that when he went out there, and I think you guys have probably seen this in practice when he's working with your, the regular group, is the way he runs his floor in your offense. I don't see any change, and it seems to just kind of flow the same way with that freshman in there.
Well, Steven's done a good job working with them, getting them ready to run our varsity offenses, and we go over our offenses every single day, so it's a repetition.
Okay, his older brother Johnny, has he played a lot of basketball?
He played for us as a freshman last year for the freshman team, and he played it a little bit for us this year. He's a hard-working kid that goes in there, and he can play both the post and the guard. And, it's tough to play 15 kids.
Yeah, I know. So he's got a lot of competition there. But is he a guard or a forward or kind of both?
He kind of can do both for us, right now.
And he's a lefty, too. We got
at the next level,
here.
He'll probably be more of a wing.
Coach Brogioli likes those left-handed guys coming in, huh?
Yeah.
I like to see him at the free-throw line. So that's the JV roster, and there's going to be some great competition for this next year. But we're not finished with this year, so I'm not going to talk about that yet till a later show. But, okay, the brackets now. First, Coach, let's talk for a couple of minutes about your starting five. We talked about Mason already and his improvement. And, Steve, you can talk a little about this, too, if you want to chime in. Andy White, how do you see Andy's game right now at this point?
I think the last couple of games, Andy's shown some real sparks of getting more aggressive in trying to get what we're trying to do. He shows flashes all season. With Andy, it's just about being consistent, and also we're on him about his defense all the time. You got to continue to work hard on defense. But the other day when he went up for that attempted dunk was something to see, and he almost had. He got fouled, but that's the kind of aggression I want from Andy.
So you don't mind him missing the dunk because he's going to go to the free throw line anyway.
He's going to the free throw line, and it sends a message. He wasn't trying to showboat. He was going up hard and aggressive with the ball at that time.
Yeah, and he's another guy like I mentioned about Mason last year. He doesn't smile a lot. And I like to see kids smile. I like to see him having fun out there. I mean, this game's supposed to be fun, right?
No, Andy's very stoic.
Yeah, that's a good word, stoic. Yeah, he's focused in, and your two forwards. We don't have a true center really out there. We got two forwards. Cy Baratow up from coach's team last year. How's Cy's game coming along right now?
Cy's improved steadily all year. He can hit an open 15-foot jump shot. Actually hit the first three-pointer of the game the other night against Case. So he has the advantage of being a very strong athlete and can run the floor. So I like him beating other centers up the court, and he tries to do that. And we've been looking for him a lot more. So
to run
up the court on offense, get that easy layup. But Cy battles down low. He's our presence, and we wouldn't be where we are without him this year.
Without him. And your take on Cy's game from last year to right now, Coach?
Oh, from when we first got Cy to now, he's probably our most improved player.
Most improved player
over the last 3 years.
That's saying a lot.
He's done a great job improving. He's a very skilled kid, a very good athlete, and
he's a baseball player. He's a pitcher, a third baseman, so he's an athlete.
I think out of all the kids that came up from JV last year, he was the most varsity ready and helped us contributed consistently from the beginning and the end of the season.
Yeah, because you guys threw him right into the fire in the tournament last year, right? Right in there, and in the Rockland game, you had to give Quentin some help. Quentin Silvera was all alone against Tyler Gibson.
Right.
So Cy came in and helped LaTroy there because that's a heck of a...
We were talking about that yesterday. Your first varsity game against the Gatorade Player of the Year in Massachusetts.
I know.
And they held their own.
Not only Tyler Gibson, but the guy we forget that's really carrying Rockland right now. I know they got a good, well-rounded team, but the Nicholson kid, Matt Nicholson, who, if you look back, I think he was in 18 or 19 in that game also. Him and Tyler Gibson got almost all their points last year against you in that tourney game. So,
but they didn't get enough.
Yeah. But anyway, LaTroy Harrison. Let's talk a little about him and LaTroy. He's been like on fire.
LaTroy's he's a hard worker. He wants the ball. He's not afraid to take the shot. He's had some monster halves where he gets that mid-range jumper going, and he's really almost unstoppable. But he works very hard, and he works hard in practice, and he wants the ball in big situations in the game.
And your guards. We've talked about Mason, Matt Griggs. I know Matt struggled a little. Like see him get a little more confidence and stuff.
But I think that's coming. I think he's improving steadily as the season's gone on. He's more comfortable taking that open jump shot now if he's left open, and he's been one of our best defenders all season.
Yeah, now you guys talk to him if you see him passing up a three where he's wide open and trying to tell him, like, take that shot.
If it's in the flow that we want to take it.
You don't have any problem with that, right, with him? Because he hits it, boy. That's tough. Because that frees up Mason.
Right.
You just can't leave that kid at the three-point line firing away, right?
Right, yeah. You almost have to take that shot.
But what I like about Matt Griggs is his wingspan. He's got an incredible wingspan. When you put him on Felipe Pires, I think Pires might have been really surprised at how high that kid can jump. I mean, that's just not getting off the floor, but his arms. I mean, you see him reaching in, knocking passes coming through lanes and stuff like that. And he's got a motor that doesn't stop, too, right? He's incredible. And A little bit about Matt Griggs.
Well, Griggs is a kid that's improved a lot. His offensive game isn't polished the way we'd like it to be right now, not the way he'd like it to be right now. But he's going to continue to work at it, and he's a great defender. I mean, he just even when his guy doesn't have the ball, he's always in the right spot. He's always talking. He's always doing the right things.
Right.
So he puts our defense in position to get stops.
So when he gets down a little on himself, you guys try to tell him how important he is defensively for this team when he's out there. How big that is. I mean, what was that game? I think it was the game at home against. I forget which one it was, but him and I think it was Cy were over on the sidelines. They got a turnover, and it was a big part of that game. It might have been the Case game at home. Turned the ball over, and you came in, you got a bucket. I mean, big defensive play in that game. And that came right before the two Labonte.
Right, Matt we just put him in the game to play defense, and you got to steal immediately for the layup.
Right. So quickly about the three other guys that come in reserve. You got Mike Labonte, who stepped up. We already talked about that. Mike's been making some key free throws. You had Mike last year. How's he improved?
Oh, he's improved tremendously throughout the year. I mean, I think he came in, we had to get him in shape a little bit. I don't think he was basketball ready to go.
Right.
And sometimes, you know, even though you're talented on JVs, it takes a little while to get your feet wet on the varsity level.
Right.
So I think all those guys, I think Cy was kind of ready to go, but I think Andy, Griggs, you know, Mikey, I think a lot of those guys, it took, you know, halfway through the year for them to transition, but once they made the transition to the varsity and how fast it is, they've done a much better job for us.
Okay, Raekwon comes in a little and played. And
we need Raekwon to give Cy and Troy a spell, and he's our only other real big that we have. And so Raekwon comes in, hopefully pull us down some rebounds and get a couple post moves in the low post and be a presence for us on offense.
I know, and Raekwon, I think, had 5 or 6 in one game, and that really helps when bench players like Raekwon come in and put some points on the board.
Sure does.
Now, most of the time, you guys are undersized when you're going up against teams like Volk and those others. So Raekwon's, big wide body, like we like to call him, inside. Then we've got Jay-Sean comes in a little.
Chris Siasi, we have.
That's right, Chris Siachi, yeah.
And Chris will come in as either a forward or as a guard, depending on what we need. So he has to learn how to play both positions. Depending on the matchups. And but Chris runs the floor better than anyone on our team, fills in the lanes on the fast break, and he gives us everything he has, and occasionally he'll hit that big three-point shot as well.
Yeah, and that big game, 15-point we talked about earlier, I think he had 2 or 3 three-pointers.
Yeah, three-pointers in that game.
First 2 he hit were like huge.
Right.
Yeah, huge.
So Chris has been a positive.
And we know he can run the floor. He's fast.
He is.
And it's pretty to watch him on a fast break with the other guys, whether it's Mason, Andy, and stuff. It's really pretty to watch. And then, of course, we got Tim Riley. He doesn't get much playing time, but kid gives you all he can give.
He does, and he helps us. People don't see sometimes is how the player helps you in practice. He's the big that goes against our bigs all the time. So so anyone that can help us in practice helps the team during a game as well.
Yeah, God forbid if anything happens to one of your key forwards and stuff, you may have to see some playing time along with Raekwon, right?
You never know. I mean, last year I wouldn't have told you that Cy would have played in the state tournament game, so it happens.
Tim's a heck of a baseball player. I'm going to look forward to watching him this summer for the Viking baseball team. Okay, quickly, we got a logjam here in the brackets before tonight's game against North Quincy, which I know you guys are looking forward to, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And we got Martha's Vineyard at top of the bracket with only 3 losses. But like you were talking about earlier, Coach, the MIA rules might change that because they didn't play the game, right?
Danvers and Vineyard decided not to make up a game. By MIA rules, the way I understand them, that should count as a loss for both teams. So we'll have to see what happens with that. But then you have Spellman with 4 losses. They have a game to play. You have Old Rochester with 4 losses. And right now we have 4 losses going into the North Quincy game tonight. And then you got Rockland with 5 losses and Westport with 4 losses as well.
Right.
So a lot's going to happen in the next 48 hours.
Rockland got their 5th against Danvers, and according to the write-up that Coach Damon talked about, Danvers has got another incredible team this year, haven't they?
I was at the game. Danvers is very impressive. They have a lot of pieces that I didn't see coming, and I'm glad they're in Division 2.
Right. So those are the brackets, and Orr's there at 16-4, logjam with the rest of you guys like you talked about, Coach, all the way down to Westport. Quickly, that game the other night, we all were at that game, Spellman and Reading, okay? Reading had a big guy, Drew Belcher, who did a great job inside against Spellman, killed him. But the last part of that game, that last 8 seconds, where Ryan Roach went the full distance and hit that little stop right-hander, to bring it into overtime. Okay, I'm going to put you guys on the spot now. You two guys in that game. Okay, you're playing Spellman. You know, you guys you've already played Roach before. What do you do to stop that kind of a play? I'll try to counter that play.
Well, we were talking about that up in the stands. Well, okay, do you think, Steven said, do you think they're going to put two guys on him? I said, I know that's what we'd do. And I'd have the man playing a man-to-man.
Right on the end line.
Trying to deny him the ball. And I'd have whoever man's taking it out of bounds also get on him and deny him the basketball to make someone else have to bring the ball up the court. Now, that's easier said than done, but that's what we would have tried to have done.
So let's do our players. So is it Matt Griggs get that with his wingspan on him like this, whoever's inbounding the ball, right? And then Mason on...
Right, I most likely would have, say, Griggs, you're going to cover the inbounder no matter what. Right. So that would be Griggs and Mason on Roach.
Now, is the next move to trap Roach? Because that's like kind of picking your poison, right? Because you got Crane, Joey Crane, the forward, and the other Austin Joseph, who both can shoot threes. So,
but in theory, would have someone on them, man to man. So the idea is, you two do not let Roach get the ball.
So hopefully there's no breakdown, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
But that's what we would have done. Whether it would work, that's a different matter. But
okay. Boy, I would have loved to see that happen, and we might see a replay of that down the road, right, guys?
It's possible.
Yeah, that's why I love to have these guys in here. I love to talk X's and O's with these two guys. Coach, before we go, we've got a fundraiser coming up, right? Harry Irving was telling me all about it, so why don't you give the folks a heads up on this coming up?
Sure. If you like music, we've got a band coming from Boston called Jimmy Can's Redemption is the name of the band. They're kind of a rockabilly band and play a variety of music, but it's kind of a Roadhouse type band, and they're going to be performing at Gilda's in Marion.
The old Stone Rooster?
Gilda's Stone Rooster.
Right on Route 6.
Right on Route 6, right over the Wareham border.
How
right
many
over the
people can you fit in that?
Well, we're looking to pre-sell 100 tickets, and then there'll be there'll be some tickets available at the door that night.
Okay.
So
I'm going to get two for me and my wife. We're going to be there.
So it starts at 8 o'clock at Gilda's. Tickets are $10. And there'll be a $10 donation at the door, and all proceeds, the band is donating all proceeds to the Wareham basketball program.
We're going to have some appetizers or some food there?
We don't have, I don't know yet.
No yet? When are the flyers coming out? Soon? So
in about a week or so, we'll have flyers out.
Okay, so when you people are watching this in that week, hopefully I'll have some more information for you, but watch the menu. Okay, if you're watching this show, watch the menu on the educational channel, government channel, and the public channel. Christian Fernandez, our producer, will probably post it, or Warren Randolph, and I'll have a nice time. It's in April again. It's Saturday night, right?
Saturday night, April 12th, 8 o'clock.
Can't beat that, dancing and fun. And I heard, just a little side note there, that name you mentioned of the band was changed from the Savin Hillbillies or something.
They used to be formerly the Savin Hillbillies, that is correct.
Are they all teachers that are in this
There
band?
are 3 teachers out of the 5 people are educators in the band.
So, fun night, a fundraiser. We got a big game in North Quincy tonight.
We do. It's going to determine whether we're a top 4 seed and get 2 home games or not.
Right. You guys have any strategy going to this game?
Of course we do.
Yeah? But we're not going to.
Well, I mean,
I know.
We're going to try to go mix up our defenses. Diamond in 1, triangle in 2, 1-3-1, 1-2-2, and press. So we're going to try to, every 3-4 trips, try to change our defenses.
Keep them off balance a little so they don't know what's coming.
That's the plan.
Right. It's going to be a fun game, though, because it always is. The 2 games last year were some of the best we saw. And even though we lost the last game, it's always good to play. It's always fun to watch the Division III team go up against a giant like North Quincy. So it should be fun. I wish you guys all the best of luck in the world. Thanks for coming in. And I wish you luck in the tournament also. We'll be there covering all the tournament games again this year. Once again, this is Steve Faniel, coach, assistant coach, and JV coach, head coach Kevin Brogioli, as usual. Congratulations, Coach, on another great season. I'm Paul Geigle for Christian Fernandez, my producer. Thanks for watching all year round, and we'll see you coming up in all the tournament games.